Hey everyone, John from ARTV signing in with a brand new series alert for you. This is a test episode, a pilot if you will. And I know pilots aren't really a thing on YouTube. We're all just out here floating trying to find what sticks. But here I am today wanting to see how receptive you guys would be to a brand new series. In this series that I'm tentatively titling Evolver, I would be going through the history of a band from their inception to their current state, and I would plan to release episodes around the time of a new album from said band or else artist. It's something where I could talk about my personal opinions on their growth and changes over the years, while also providing a lot of unbiased commentary and just informative content on what exactly has happened with the band's sound and their personnel changes and that sort of thing over time. Paramore are a very intriguing one to me just because of the amount of lineup changes. They're one of my personal favorite bands, and they put out so much great material over this time period as a band, even though there have been so many changes. So I thought it would make for a great starting point since they're about to release After Laughter, or else by the time you're watching this video, it's probably already out, and I've probably already dropped my review. So if you would like to see that, stick around till the end of the video. I'll throw up an annotation whenever that is live, and be sure to leave a like on this video. Help me get this one to 1,000 likes, share it out with some friends, and let me know that you want to see more content and more of my new series, Evolver. What other bands should I do? Would you like to see other things on the show? Maybe something that I didn't cover in this episode? Sound off in the comments, and other than that, let's kick it off. The early days of Paramore were filled with doubt, changes, and uncertainty within the band. Wait a second, nothing's actually changed to current day really now, has it? Jokes aside, the band did struggle early on with bassist and founding member Jeremy Davis quickly departing before the recording of their debut album All We Know Is Falling. Drummer Zach Farrow was only 12 at the time of Paramore's inception, causing many to wonder exactly how touring would even be possible with someone so young. Lead singer Hayley Williams was 16 when their debut album released in 2005, and while many doubted the longevity of the band, their popularity started to rise quickly. Atlantic Records owns the label Fueled by Ramen, and with this imprint being in its early days, they decided being on a smaller label was definitely the angle they wanted to go for Paramore. Many of their early songs relied on teenage angst and despair, as they should have, putting the emotions on a pedestal to show an honest view of fallouts, friends, and lovers. The band kicked up quite the following after catching the attention of Warped Tour attendees and by opening for several other prominent bands in the scene such as Bayside. Davis was quick to realize his mistake and ended up rejoining Paramore, but the shadow cast on the debut album's cover continued to linger even with Jeremy returning. Fortunately, things smoothed over for a while, and the band rode towards fame on their following release, Riot. Fueled by Ramen continued to be the band's label, and with Williams really starting to take the spotlight and be the talked about member of Paramore, tensions slowly rose within the band. They took aim at a pop, punk, and emo rock sound that clearly stuck with the masses, as Riot was the era that truly exposed them to mainstream success. With softer moments like the string-aided When It Rains and heartfelt Hallelujah, Paramore further diversified their sound mostly to enjoyable results. Of course, we all know the put-down anthem Misery Business that pretty much encapsulates teenage rage in a bottle all over a stolen lover. But what struck me as odd about this one is just how successful this song was as a crossover in the US. Although I had listened to Paramore since 2005 here and there, thanks to the channel Fuse playing the material, I didn't fully get into them until I started hearing Misery Business all over pop and rock radio, which is just surprising considering how much radio seemed to be moving away from faster rock-infused songs at that time. The songwriting skills of Williams and Josh Farrow really started to shine on Riot, with Fences standing up with social commentary and Let the Flames Begin scorching with heart, passion, and chemistry as a band. Looks like I wasn't alone in wanting more of that sound that they got on Let the Flames Begin, as it got a sequel with Part 2 on the self-titled record 6 years later. Being Paramore has clearly never been easy, and Brand New Eyes was no exception to this, sadly. After the immense success of Riot, the band really started to fall apart at the seams as members butted head, shows got cancelled, and fans got worried as hell. I remember this time period vividly, seeing MySpace bulletins detailing the cancellation of shows, followed by inactivity, and finally a return with an album announcement. Brand New Eyes saw all writers within the band dealing with writer's block, butting heads, and a rapidly growing fame that they didn't exactly know how to manage along with the tensions in the band, all trying to keep a level head and somehow maintain a personal life as well. So what did they do with all those issues they were facing? They took them and thrust them into the limelight, waxing poetic about vulnerabilities, pointing blame, and giving up. If you listen to this record just at surface level, you won't see the turmoil and frustration. But look closer at Looking Up, for example. I can't believe we almost hung it up refers to a potential end of the band. Ignorance is full of references to feeling like an outcast within Paramore. Hell, just watch the music video for it. The walls start shrinking in. Emotions are at stake here too. The only exception is an acoustic-led gut punch that puts Williams out in the open like never before, and All I Wanted shows the incredible growth as a vocalist as she nails every note in this tug-of-war struggle with her heart. Lest we forget the rest of the band, like many seem to during this era, you really have to appreciate the music they crafted, even with the core of the group not getting along so well. Intricate guitar structures took the place of fast riffing in places, and honestly, it was the best thing that could have happened to their sound. Instead of dying off in the late 2000s as many emo alternative crossover bands did, they thrived because they hit all the corners of the map, from their frantic but skilled drumming to the thrashing guitars that often echoed what Williams was venting in the lyrical content. Rob Cavallo, who is known for his long-standing relationship with the band Green Day, produced the record and helped them lock in this thematic, rocking, and catchy yet somehow dark vibe, which shows both the talent of the band and their producer. After touring on the album wound down in 2010, heavy news rocked Paramore, and that was the departure of both drummer Zach Farro and his brother Josh, two huge blows to a band that was already on the rocks. Josh in particular seemed irate with Haley, tossing accusations and insults via blog and video, chipping away at something many others had always thought, that this was just a facade, that Hayley Williams was a solo star with paid members. This of course wasn't true, but even with Williams being the only one actually signed to the record deal, the earnings of Paramore were always split evenly between the members. An intense wave of doubt spread throughout late 2010 after Josh Farro's post vehemently protested against Paramore. Williams' confidence was definitely shot, and you can totally see why, yet from the ashes of what once was rose a new batch of songs. They announced the Singles Club shortly after recording it in March 2011, with songs to roll out as downloads for everybody who signed up every few months. I was actually a part of this, and it was a cool idea to appease fans who felt like Paramore might be calling it quits. The new material was all recorded during the same sessions, yet all 4 songs feel very unique and unlike the others. Monster was the most in line with their past material and went on to be featured in the soundtrack for Transformers Dark of the Moon. It felt very angry with its lyrics, stacked again with references to other band members with lines like "You Call Me the Traitor," managing to work perfectly as a song for the movie and for the band's catalog. During this time, the band toured sporadically as the singles rolled out, eventually taking an extended break before starting production on what ended up becoming the immense and inspired self-titled album. Ain't it fun? When band life curb stomps you and leaves you for dead, what better way to come back than to release a record that some consider to be the best of your career? Paramore roars with life as a self-titled defining record that blasted to pieces any notions that they wouldn't be strong as a 3-piece. Impactful life-affirming statements are made throughout, choosing to focus on the bright future at hand rather than dwelling on the past. The group selected talented bassist Justin Meldal Johnson to produce the self-titled, even playing on the album himself and adding a lot of spice and funk to the bass grooves here. Taylor and Haley doubled down on writing catchy hooks along with an eclectic mix of both heavy and fun instrumentals. Part 2 is one of the heaviest and most menacing things they've ever done as a band, complete with a face-melting guitar solo, while still into you pops with energy and a bubblegum spirit, all while retaining a classic Paramore vibe. The album was a smashing success, selling well and spawning a few big Hot 100 hits, including their only top 10 single to date, Ain't It Fun. Fast forward through more hard times, and we've arrived at Paramore's 5th studio album, After Laughter. The timeline of this record is hard to track, but thanks to an eye-opening interview with Zane Lowe, we learned a lot more about this era and what happened to the band and the time following their self-titled release. Haley and Taylor both openly speak about the possible end of the band, not knowing if they wanted to continue after losing so many friends over the years just because of Paramore. It seemed like no matter how hard Haley tried, things were always taking a nosedive off of a cliff. Bassist Jeremy Davis not only left the band, but filed a lawsuit against them, claiming he was entitled to royalties, which was later proved false, although they're still going through court proceedings because Haley Williams is actually technically the only one signed to a record contract. Dirty Laundry was being aired out for everyone to see, and things weren't exactly looking up during the time of Five More's progress. It was very slow as they worked towards the final product. Former member Zach Farrow is a longtime best friend of Taylor York, and he got a call asking if he wanted to drum on the new album. Zach, of course, agreed and quickly rekindled a friendship with both of the remaining members and returning producer Justin Meldau Johnson. Taylor pulled him to the side one day, asked him to rejoin the band, which he of course ended up doing after a little bit of thought on it. After Laughter finds the band in a hopeful but very cautious phase. Look at the song titles from this release. You know there's going to be some bite and sarcasm to it. Just look at the lead single Hard Times. That song pushed the notion of happy music with sad lyrics to a new level, playing perfectly to their strengths and helping them engage the listener even in more of a pop-friendly environment. The best part about Paramore's evolution here is that they did not lose their identity. That's something that I have to emphasize. They used the guitars and drums to their advantage to try out a new sound, adding in some extra synth flair, some other instruments as well, to give it really a disco-dipped synth pop meets rock vibe. That wraps up the debut episode of this series. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like to show support, and if you're able to, help me out on Patreon. It's that annotation on screen, or else the link in the description. These type of videos are a lot of work, so help keep this type of content on YouTube. All of my social medias are linked in the description. Other than that, I'll see you very soon on ARTV.